Hey, Chibi. Hi, Dandy. Dandy 2, in fact. Hey, .com. Hey, Habibi. Hey, Killface. Hey, Jenna. Sweet Jane, Polly, Mimi, Shirley, Dana, Strawberry, Coco, Fiza. Hello to all of you. Polly, of course I did, and I hope everyone missed me yesterday. Hey, Riley. Fucking whatever, Riley. Hey, Sandra. Hi. Xraf. Banned from a couple channels out these are back. What did you do, Dandy? I'm okay. A little bit tired today. Moody, Courage, Anunnaki, Dana, Moody, A Touch of Rose, Drop Bear, Not Me. Hello to all of you. These alogs can't handle my non-filter chatting style. Hey, Honey Muffin. Hey, Barry. Stump there? Oh, he had a dream about me? Ooh. Was it a sexy dream? Anyway, temperature is -7 today, Dana. Was it a sexy dream, Killface? Was Canada today? Yeah, it's okay. Hey, Backrooms. Snowing? I don't think it snowed today. I have no idea if it snowed today. Hey, Rusty. Homemade pizza? Probably not anytime soon. Who's for dessert? I would rather not talk about that tonight, Rose. Yes. All orientations are safe and welcome here. This is a safe space. This is a safe space. Hey, Nicole. This is a safe space unless you piss me off. Would you miss Killface? Yeah. Nothing I feel like talking about tonight, Killface. Hey, Rue. We're here for a game. We're here for a shitty visual novel. Hey, Sam Pickles. How are the cats? They're okay. Hey, Belly. I feel like either Casey's dementia is getting worse or she's playing it up more. Yeah, whatever, Rebecca. We're not talking about that tonight. Because, like, what happens now is I will pour some treats out for Casey. And she will keep looking at me as though waiting for the treats. So either her dementia's getting worse and she doesn't even know the treats are being poured out, or she's playing her dementia up in the hopes it'll actually give her more treats. One or the other. I think that I think she's just being manipulative. Exactly, Chibi. I think she's just trying to manipulate me. Like, that's it? Is that all you're giving me? Dog peed on your carpet? Ah, that's rough. I don't know, Dandy. Vision and or sense of smell may be diminishing. I think she just wants more. I think she just wants more treats. I think she's just trying to manipulate me to get more treats. Might need to claim disability. No, Drop Bear. She needs a pink drink. I need a pink drink! Anyway, we are addressing jack shit tonight. We're addressing this tonight. This is what we're addressing tonight. Right here. All this stuff. Background music suits chat well. Cats are manipulative little buggers. She is! They are! You know, cats only meow at people, not other cats. Yep, I was aware of that, Tuxref. Older cats need a raised bowl. The next kiss stuff. Hey, Yima. The other thing? I feel like this will have lo-fi music and make me sad. The other thing that's happening with Casey, I'm pretty sure her treat tolerance has gotten too high. Like, I think that, I think her treat tolerance has gotten too high, so now whenever she, so she needs, you know, she needs more of her drug to satisfy her cravings. What are we reading? We're going to be reading a, as an aside, before I get into the game proper, I actually finally got around to downloading the, downloading something here. Downloading the voiced name pack. So. Yeah, so. A lot of voice names that they put in here. Dated a man once that looked similar to this cartoon. Tall and slender boy. So yeah, they got a lot of voiced names. What flavor? She likes the turkey. The turkey, tantalizing turkey temptations. No, Sam, not tonight. I'm not gonna talk about that shit tonight. Tonight is not for drama. Tonight is just for game. Interestingly, James is not in here, it looks like. Jan, I guess, is in here, but James is not. Yeah, just sort of going through, just showing off all the names that they had voiced. Your name is there? Hey, congratulations, Killface. Nicole is there. Sam, I am choosing to play a fucking game tonight. That's what I'm choosing. Don't see a badge next to your name, and I don't remember ever getting a super chat from you, so I don't know what this wee shit that you're talking about is. Shit, I don't even remember ever... Sorry, Comprek, I really didn't sleep very well, so I just, Hey, Sausages Mama. What's your mom's name? Voice names feature is very cool. It is pretty cool. They have so little voiced dialogue in this game, which is a shame. I do wish that more of the dialogue was voiced. But it is cool how many voices, how many names they got voiced. Anyway, it looks like the last time I played was back in November, so it's been a couple months. Hey, Booba Kitty. Riley, playing this game tonight matters to me. Hey, Pat. Yeah, thanks, Bally. That's whatever, it's not that bad. I'm able to ignore shit. If you're here for penance, I can accommodate you. If you're here for treats, you're out of luck. Oh. Thanks for stopping by, Eggy Toast. Here to avoid my writing. glad to help with procrastinating, to Scruff. Sure thing, Sam. You can always feel free to stop watching. I'm not holding you hostage here. Not Mimi! Do it's Festery. Thank you very much, Not Mimi. Jada would sort all this out. Hey, Zach. Hey, Tendies. Alright. So let's get to it. Escapade. You watched an R-rated horror movie when you were 8? Oh, quick rundown of the game? Sure. So the game starts out when you are 8 years old. You meet and befriend a young boy by the name of Cove. You spend the summer together. You hang out over the course of the summer, and then it skips the school. Skips ahead 5 years. So currently, my characters are Elliot Page, may be the new Superman. He feels a bit short for Superman. Superman should be tall. Thanks, Jenna. And then, whatever, Dandy. And then, yeah, so it skips to 13 years old, which is where we are now, currently. Our character is 13 years old. So you're hanging out with, still hanging out with Cove, and you've got another friend by the name of Derek they hang out with. You've got an older sister by the name of Liz. You got 2 moms. No, I'm not discriminating. It's just, you know. I feel like Superman should be tall. By the same token, I feel like Wolverine should be short. So I'd actually be way more okay with Elliot Page's Wolverine. He's short and Canadian. Actually, give me a second. Give me 1 second. There's something I need to check very, very quickly. Can I not try to play some good games? Ouch. Five foot one. Yeah, Elliot Page is 5'1". So he's the right height to play Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine is Canadian. Doesn't have much the muscle or mass. That's fair. He'd need to. He would definitely need to thicken up. Because Wolverine does definitely need to be kind of a thick boy. And no, Discraft. Wolverine is very proudly and very vocally Canadian. Thought Wolverine was... Nope. 5'3". Wolverine is canonically 5'3". He's a runt. Hey, Kim. Like, Wolverine is canonically a runt. He is shorter than everyone around him. Yeah. He needs to be short, thick, and hairy. Yeah, it's... Honestly, it is a running gag in the comics. People, whenever Wolverine is in another country, people will call him an American, and he'll always correct them. I'm Canadian, bub. 5'3" and Rit. Yeah. Asexual guy from Australia. There is an Australian version of him. Charity stream. Thoughts on those? How does Ike get back? David Icke get allowed back on Twitter? Sure thing, Sam. Anyways. So yeah. Basically, this game is just a whole lot of reading about people hanging out, about kids hanging out. Isn't this the game where you basically just no? Need to bone up on your X-Men lore? It's what I'm here for, Tiscraft. It's what I'm here for. You're the guy that drove his Tesla off a cliff with his family? Clearly just, clearly a big fan of Elon Musk. Clearly just trying to follow Elon Musk's example. COD? No. You remember hanging out with friends? GTA? Nah. Anyway, you looked up, noticing the sun was finally setting. You had been trying to delay the end of the day for as long as possible. The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices. Salad can kiss our ass. I mean, I've always said that about salad, Killface. I don't know why anyone eats it. You know, I don't know why anyone eats salad. Threw up a Big Mac today because I ate it too fast after not eating anything for a few days. Oof. The snack made you happy. Watermelon! Watermelon's great in the summer as a kid. You picked up another slice. Even though you already had dinner, you were still delighted to make room for watermelon. You turned to look at Cove. You both have been sitting in comfortable silence for a while now. Simpsons Hit and Run? I did not, Polly. I never played any of the Simpsons games. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. Ooh. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched as his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit a seed into the bush. You did the same and spat a seed into the bushes. The two of you had made a little habit of periodically doing that while you had been snacking. This time he decided to make it a topic of conversation. I hate how it feels to swallow them, those hard black seeds. Comic? No comic. It starts at 8, but now the characters are 13. Still ripped, yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. You both went back to eating in comfortable silence, still occasionally spitting unwanted seeds into the bushes. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. Yeah. Go ahead, may as well. Watermelon is just water, so it's not exactly filling. That one is your third already. Is that bad? It tastes really good. Bumped him with your shoulder. Cove matched your smirk. He gave you a nudge in return. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his currant slice down on the plate next to him. Are you okay? It's not one of those games, Rue. Those ads are hilarious. Those ads are always hilarious. He's a 401k. Yeah. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything? No, Tendies. Hey, Stefan H. What do you mean?
Huh.
I felt the raindrop. The sun's still out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off of your front step. Immediately you felt a tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right! Cove was still staring up at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemused. Hey, DG. For tonight we are, Captain Crunch. Tonight we are. Because that's not what this particular stream is about. That's not what the Saturday streams are about. Music is sending you there? Sending you to sleep? Nothing inappropriate happens, Freedom Deep. Shit, this game hasn't even had kissing yet. Leisure Suit Larry? I played Leisure Suit Larry. This is the love interest stuff. If you want him as a love interest. You can be completely platonic. It's a sun shower. It seemed crazy, but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Booming with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes towards his front door and reveled in the moment. No tendies, no sex. I don't play Animal Crossing. It felt kind of special to you. Something rooted you in place, and you couldn't quite put your finger on any word to describe the feeling. Elated, he was jumping and spinning in the rain. There was also a warmth radiating from him. Yeah, sure, let's join him. Stefan H. Yeah, it was, It's about the age I might have been even younger, Steph. It's possible I might have been even younger than that when I played Leisure Suit Larry. Then you joined Cove. You ran over to stand out in the street with him. He smiled at your approach and offered you his hand. You took it. You played in the droplets until you were both dizzy and laughed until your bodies ached. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair, combing it back. He frowned.
Aww.
It's over. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, fuck you, Captain Crunch. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say fuck you. No. Fuck that shit. The drops of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. Well, it was fun. Yeah, it's so cool that it happened. You then looked over at your door and sighed. You knew Ma wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically.
It's okay.
You can dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. You're the sweetest guy I know. Thanks. It's not a big deal. It is. I could already hear my ma's cries over my wet footsteps being all over the halls. Yeah, it would be bad to put a dampener on the day. He chuckled at his little pun. Cove led you inside, and you stayed close to him. We have a ton of spare towels. I've just got to dig them out of the hall closet. Think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you, too. Cove didn't have any of the towels yet, but he came back into eyeshot so you could see him stare at you flatly and roll his eyes. Haha, don't you think my clothes might be kind of big? Berlin! Holy shit, Berlin! Thank you so much, Berlin! I am not actually sure how much that comes to in Canadian. But thank you much for it. I think that works out to about 30 cents. Don't know what the currency is. Yeah. But even so, you know, every bit is nice. $3. $3. Well, even so, it's very nice. I appreciate every donation. How do you milk an oat? I mean, I assume through the nipples. I'm not joking. Be nice to borrow a shirt. He raised an eyebrow, and a tiny frown paired with a blue blush appeared on his face.
I mean...
Oh, I mean, if you're serious, I'm just gonna dry my stuff off, but I could get something for you. Thanks, Cove. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time. He wasn't making much eye contact, but had towels in hand, plus what seemed to be one of his pajama shirts. It was a bright pink color, with a dark brown seashell pattern all over. You were certain it looked great on him. So, well, here it is. I hope that works. Oats have nipples? Well, how else are you gonna milk it, sick and tired? I mean, I'm just assuming, you know? Look, I am not a biologist. I'm not a farmer. I'm just saying. Thanks. You accepted both a towel and the shirt. You wrapped the cloth around your neck temporarily and took a trip to his bathroom to change. The shirt was old, but very soft. You already felt more comfortable just thinking about having it on instead of your current damp attire. You left your shirt over the shower curtain rod to dry, patted yourself down with the towel, and slipped Cove's shirt on. You wrapped your arms around your torso. The change didn't completely fix your predicament, but it was definitely an improvement. You have to get the Oats' consent first? Yep. Would I dye my hair like that? Nah. Even if it was kind of an off fit, you could make it work. And you couldn't deny it was a little bit thrilling to wear a piece of his clothing. You almost couldn't believe it was true. Not wanting to keep Cove waiting, you promptly returned to the living room. He looked up to greet you after hearing you come back down the hall. How'd it go? Is it good? It looks good. Country is this game set? California. It is set in California, Polly. Hey, Harlem. What? Really? He chuckled a broken laugh, unsure what the proper thing to say about this kind of situation was. Keeping eye contact was even more of a challenge for him than before. Not me? Yes, it is. It's a visual novel. Love the artwork in this. Scenes are so pretty. Yep. Yeah, this is a visual novel, not me. I did watch Star Trek the Animated Series, Dandy. Dandy squared. Someone named Cove would judge me for my inferior taste in music. Yeah, I did watch Star Trek the Animated Series. It was largely not good. When do they try drugs? I think so. You wear it well. I can barely tell it's not really yours and that it's mine. No, Tendies. You got the impression that just as you felt some excitement at wearing his clothes, he was having a similar reaction to seeing you in it. Thanks, Cove. Final boss in this game? Marriage. Are there any MILFs? Several. Several MILFs. The 70s, yeah.
You're welcome.
A sudden call caught both of your attentions. See? MILF! Who was it who asked about the MILF? Tendies. There you go, Tendies. MILF right here. I thought I heard voices. Ko's mom strolled into the living room with a curious grin. There's no sex in this game. God damn it.
Huh?
What happened here? You're both wet. There was a sun shower. Badass. Cove smiled back at his parent. We came inside to dry off. My moms don't want me going into my house when I'm wet.
Right.
So I told Jamie to come back here. That is very sweet of you, baby. She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kyra's eyes.
What do you think?
I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Cove's mom's name? Kira. Her name is Kira or Kyra. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Kira, probably. I assume it's Kira. But it could be Kyra, I don't know. Cove only offered a shrug and a bent smile to his mom. He looked at you for a real answer. How do you defeat marriage? By being happy about it. Or divorce. Yeah, let's do it. Fun! This'll be good. Kyra pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers early in the summer.
See you soon.
Head on out to the garage. I'll meet you there in a minute.
Sorry.
Sorry my mom can be so pushy. She gets some idea in her head and that's what she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car, and Kyra wasn't too far behind. The random voice acting is different. A little bit. Not me. I know the father runs a store. I think, yeah, the father runs a store. I'm not sure what the mom does.
Okay.
Into the back, you two. Once the three of you were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. I don't know, this angle kind of makes it look like the steering wheel is on the right, but this is set in the US, so it should be on the left. I don't know, maybe it's just a weird angle. Yeah, I think it might be. I think it's just the angle. The lure top. When she hit a main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way.
Hey!
Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. Meanwhile, you closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. Putting away my Christmas decorations, and one of my family members asked who I'm watching. I don't know how to even explain. On your dirty little secret. I said this drive was going to be good for getting air dried. Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration.
No way!
You disabled the back? Sorry, can't hear you. Why is it so sunny in this location? Because it's California, in the summer. Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. You danced in your seat to the music. You recognized the song immediately. Mouthing along to the words and moving about to the beat felt refreshing. Cove shook his head at you until he cracked half smile. Slowly he relaxed and bopped a little to the beat of the song himself. And then something struck the side of your leg. Several papers were freed from under the car seats and were blown about. Oh, they can't go out the windows. Cove began to haphazardly reach around the space to try and get it all back under wraps. Amused, you helped. Sorry, tendies. Kia looks beautiful here. Mom, close the windows! Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She just kept driving. Cove snatched several papers out of the air, and you caught others, preventing most of them from flying out the window on your side. You showed Cove your collection while grinning widely. I think we got pretty much all of them. You figured if they were sitting out in the back of the car, they couldn't be important enough to get upset over, but Cove continued looking annoyed. Google user? Yeah, what Skip does is it skips through any red dialogue. So, like, if you're doing, like, a second playthrough or a third playthrough or whatever, so, like, if you're doing a second playthrough of the game and there's bits of dialogue that you remember and you're not really interested in, you can just hit skip to get through it all quickly. To get from choice to choice. Too much reading? Welcome to visual novels. These stories don't get better. We are here for me to narrate. Your smile started to slip, and at that his expression softened. I hope so. Thanks for helping. The sun set completely, and at that Kyra rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had in his fists. My mom is crazy. He ran a hand through his wind-blown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation. Hey, Forna. You didn't know what was happening anymore. After all that, you wondered what was going to come next, biting your bottom lip. Google user? Yeah. I mean, I've played this type of game before, so... Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom. I bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but now I feel tripped. You could tell by his tone that at this point his complaints were more performative than serious. You spotted Kyra looking at you both a moment in the rearview mirror, smiling. Tree is literally falling apart as I take these lights off. I think I'm going to buy a new one on Monday when they're 90% off at Walmart. But are you sure? I mean, buying a tree, are you sure it'll last until next Christmas, Boozin? I don't know. They do dry out, you know. Still have my tree up. It's real. I don't know why I haven't taken it down. Sims 4 is actually free. Sims 4, it doesn't cost money to buy the game. The real cost is having to fucking play it. Because it's so boring. That's the real cost. Put everything away and reorganize my closet. Might cast underneath the tree. You stayed quiet. You shook your head and looked out the window. You have to pay Origin $8 do you? Not boring if you're playing with us. I will continue to pass on it, Tendies. I am not interested in playing Sims 4. I'm not interested in Sims. I find Sims incredibly boring. I like to sleep under it. I think the cats I had back when we used real trees did sometimes play with them. Oh, hey, J-Dot. J-Dot, hey, welcome. Habibi was worried about how you'd manage yesterday without me. Kyra continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows, and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Kyra lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around. You caught her coy smirk.
So?
Does anyone know what we drove past during the dry cycle? I'm not sure I want to. A movie theater. Okay. Most places have one somewhere. It isn't that late, you know. We can probably still catch a show.
What?
Really, Mom? We don't even know what'd be playing.
Come on.
That's what makes it fun. Heck yeah! Both of you? He seemed hesitant. You gave him a smile, and Cove eased up a bit. Aw, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating this impulsive behavior every day, but it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have another night like this. Hey, Key Lime Pie. Hey, I Like Bugs. And yes, visual novel. And don't worry, Jamie. I said I'd watch over you for the night, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there.
That's,
I didn't bring any shoes. It doesn't matter. But how am I gonna go inside barefoot?
It's alright.
We'll sneak through quick. No one will notice. You can do it just this once. Going into a movie theater barefoot? That sounds gross. You bounced in your seat excitedly that it was actually going to happen. Cairo was right. You never got to do stuff like this. Cairo drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite being hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema. You hurried behind, but you figured the cold tarmac on his bare feet, was what was fueling him on ahead. Inside, you noticed there were no lines. All the current shows had already started. Cairo paid that no mind and strode up towards the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking around. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than standing still would have, if there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy. Bet the floor is sticky? Probably. Still, you consoled him. You poked Cove's arm to get his attention. It'll be okay, Cove. The chicken did not make me sick, Boozin. His expression softened into an appeased smile. Yeah, thanks. Eliciting a sigh of relief out of you, Cairo returned with the tickets in hand. She quickly herded you and Cove towards the showing room. I'm so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on. We've almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing. The movie trailers are the best part of going to a movie.
Aha!
Yes! Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Cairo couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Hey, Donna. Why is the floor sticky? Spilled soda most of the time. Cairo pointed at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Cairo sighed contentedly. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He then leaned over and whispered to you.
So...
Do you have any idea what the movie is? No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets. Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film, one about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. You became nervous. You struggled with frightening films. It was one thing to go see a movie you knew nothing about, but a horror movie? That was an entirely different story, and it was eating at you that you had no idea what kind of scare you should be bracing for. Hey, Icky. Rated E? Probably. Actually, I'm not sure if it has a rating. I don't even know if this game has a particular rating. If it does, it's probably teen at the most. Yeah, I don't think it actually has an age rating. Last movie I saw was Smile. Hey, Uncle Buck. No, Habibi. As far as I know, we didn't even get popcorn. Did you hear meow? You did. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed that he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bit down on his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. That was something you learned about him early on. You grabbed hold of his hand. Your fingers wrapped tight around his, and he jumped slightly at the unexpected touch. But his expression softened when he peeked at you out of the corner of his eyes. He watched you with an unspoken question written all over his face. Will you be okay? You shook your head no. His face grew firm and he muttered something you couldn't make out. Then he did something you could understand. He got up from his seat. Cove gestured for you to do the same and you obliged. You both began to shuffle down the aisle. At some point, Kyra must have realized what was happening as well, because in only a couple of minutes, the three of you were standing outside again. Mother and son looked at you apologetically. It made you uncomfortable, but Cove spoke out to ease the atmosphere. This was a bad idea.
Come on.
I think you're on the money, baby boy. Movie making is a lost art anyway. Let's hit the road. That was good with you. You had been scared and worried sitting in that theater, but in the end, Cove backed you up and you didn't have to go through it. You hugged him. You were so glad you could count on him to be there. It wasn't possible to stop yourself from throwing your arms around him. He returned the embrace carefully. You stood together in the parking lot like that for a brief moment. I really didn't want to see it. I know. It's okay. Cove gave you a reassuring smile, and that was that. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late, Kyra was trying to keep things light. We can safely say that stop was a bust. I'm really sorry, Jamie. I should have asked if there were any off-limit genres. I think I have some making up to do. Who wants dessert? Or just some regular food?
What?
You were surprised when you realized Kyra wasn't on the way home, but turning into a drive-through burger restaurant. You nodded. That's the spirit. Get whatever you want. Milkshake. Your hamburger, fries. Is that alright?
Of course.
It's A-okay. Kyra pulled up to the window and ordered what you asked for first. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa, what are you going to do with all that? Eat it.
Really?
The whole menu? That's right. There are only maybe 10 things on it, and they're about $1 each. I can swing it. And besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm going to feed to your dad. He'll be in heaven. Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed to you both in the back seats. She then drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me. You chose one of the rack sandwiches and handed it to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Is Mom definitely smokes weed? Absolutely, Harry. Definitely smokes weed. Accepting that this was what was happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling food out of the bags for himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings, and he happily munched on them. Oh, okay. Enjoy, Killface. You made sure to grab something you liked. Kyra's crazy ride just kept going. You had to wonder if this night would ever end. The adventure continued, and you were so preoccupied in the back that you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kyra turned to look over her shoulder. Okay, party people. It seems we've reached the end of the road. It's a back massager. Dollar menu is a thing of the past, yet. No, Sam, I have not, because that is not what this particular night is about. That's not what this particular stream is about tonight. If you don't like that, Sam, feel free to fuck off out of here. Confused, you checked out the window and saw nothing except empty road ahead. And then you noticed it. The now leaving sign. Kyra took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kyra turned the car around and parked it along the side of the road. I think you both could use a break to stretch your legs, and I doubt anyone is going to come through here this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. You followed Cove. You got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms while he strolled around. Being there was pretty cool in your mind. This was a good place to stop. If she was going to take us all around town, at least it wasn't done halfway. Cove smiled, glancing from the stars to you. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression changed. His eyebrows furrowed, and it seemed like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next.
I'm so sorry.
Jamie, I am really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this, seriously. Why is she being like this now? I think she feels like she has to get out there and do things with me while she can, and she wants to make the time more time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others, and it didn't start off good. Thinking about how Kyra's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end. Are you having a good time with your mom around? I have seen Howl's Moving Castle. Enjoyed that movie. Tell you what, Sam, you want clarification on that shit, come back tomorrow. We can talk about that shit tomorrow. I've made very clear, Sam, that this stream is about this game. So if the only thing you're interested in is YouTube drama, Sam, then fuck off for tonight and come back tomorrow. Yeah, it's still weird having her and Dad in the same house, but I love her. She's my mom. I like hanging out with her. Most of the time. Cove cut or uncut? We have no way of knowing, Habibi. No way of knowing. It went silent between you both, so you jumped when you heard the sound of a car door closing. Cove, Jamie! You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side waving. The sight brought a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where you both were standing. Thanks for waiting. I didn't mind. No, Molly Elizabeth, I am not addressing it tonight.
My baby!
How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled his hair, and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. You thought about how interesting it was to see how Cove interacted with his mom. Agnes? No tea tonight, Agnes. And then the memory hit you. That first summer, you and Cove came to this very spot in his runaway attempt to find his way back to his mom. Now you were all here, together. You whispered about it to Cove. Taking a step closer to Cove, you leaned in close to share the moment just with him. Isn't it strange that your mom took us here? This is where you went to try seeing her when you moved to Sunset Bird. Cove flinched and his eyes darted over to his mom, worried that she heard. When he was satisfied she didn't, he turned back. Yeah, it's weird, but she doesn't know what happened. At least I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Like I said, Sam, if you're only interested in the YouTube drama, come back tomorrow. I made clear right at the start of this stream I was not interested in discussing drama. If you're gonna be a douche nozzle and keep trying to fucking push it, I have no interest in being polite about it. If you want to keep pushing about it, I'll just straight up fucking block you next time, Sam. Like if you try to push that a bit again, I'm gonna straight up block you. This is just quick warning, Sam. Last warning. Fuck off for the night, or I'm gonna block you. What game is this? This is Our Life Beginnings and Always, Agnes. Really? Dad likes to tell her things are fine so she doesn't worry. Yeah, fucking whatever, Voodoo. You nodded and kept the secret. Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiratorial smile. Anyways, it's kind of cool to be here right on the edge of town. Exactly. We're standing on a precipice. I think so too. I knew you'd get it. It's good to appreciate these times and places. Kyra let out a big breath of air. We should probably call it a night, huh? Alright, you're blocked, Sam. Yeah, sorry, Sam. You kept harassing me, so I'm just gonna block you. So, good fucking bye. What was that thing people always wanted me to say? Welcome to Blockland? You felt disappointed it was actually over. You'd kind of hoped some other unexpected thing would pop up to keep things going. Kyra shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Welcome to Ban World. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still strewn about. You rested your head into the seat as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in close to whisper.
Hey.
I can talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice. This was worth it even if they get mad. Your mouth pulled into the biggest grin, getting a laugh out of Cove. Sam, I am no more. Ugh. If you say so. Also, don't worry about bringing the shirt back when we get home. Just keep it. Until tomorrow? He simply shook his head. Your face went warm. He was giving it to you. Secretly, you had hoped to not have to give it back. Cove smiled softly, but said, "Give me a second. I'm going to refill my water glass for him real quick." 1 minute, Casey. Patience, Casey. I'll be back on my chair in a minute. And then you can get in my lap. And then immediately jump down because all you want is treats. You're just trying to get me to give you treats. You don't actually want attention, do you, Casey? You don't want pets. You want your fucking temptation. You want your goddamn tantalizing turkey. You friggin' addict. Have a problem, and we're gonna check you into rehab. Gonna see if Dr. Gold runs a rehab. Oh, careful, Casey. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, Bugs. Maybe it wasn't a... So people could... I was going to ask if people could actually hear what I was saying. Narrating is really good. Thanks, Melanie. Yeah, I was wondering if people could hear what I was saying while I was getting my water. She's a whole just give her what makes her happy. I do give her treats repeatedly throughout the day. She just wants more and more and more. I could just, like... I could pour down the entire bag. Like, I could put down the entire bag of Temptations. And she would, like... take some shade. And, like, she would just, like, look at me like, is that all? And then she'd eat them all, and then come whining to me for more. She's addicted! And anyway, Color Purple. No, this is not a dating game. This is a visual novel. That said, you can end up, can actually end up married to this kid. The drive home was smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely, and you felt your eyelids getting heavy. Your head came to rest on Cove. You were too tired to keep your head up, and it felt quite comfortable there. Cove didn't have any issues there. He leaned into it. That middle-aged cat lady Twitter would like to have a word. I'm here enabling her. Not like she matters if she gains weight. She can't gain weight. She's never been able to gain weight. But no, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, it's not good for her to get that many treats, you know? When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not your bedroom. It was somehow already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up there. Sitting up in bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It would almost have felt like a dream if you weren't still wearing the shirt Cove had let you take. It definitely happened. No, Dandy, I don't. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapade this summer. Yay! All the moments are done. Now it's just a matter of ending this summer and starting the next one. Hour and 16. She's already down. She just wants treats. What time is it? 8:30. No fighting, tendies. Color purple. I am going to get back to that one, color purple. I'm gonna split between back and forth between them. So, yeah, I'll do a few weeks of this one, and then I'll do another few weeks of Validate, and then another few weeks of this. So I'm just gonna sort of break it up a little bit, a few weeks of each. Fine, I will give her more treats. There you go, you pig. You at it. Damn Temptations head. Did you hear her purring? Try rolling some treats up randomly in a towel and see if she plays with it. Maybe. Sam? Sam. Oh, there's Sam. Okay, give me a second. Oh, not me. Meow, meow, thank you, meow. Thank you very much, not me. And there's Sam. There's Sam treated. There's Sammy Sam treated. Alright, so let's end the summer of being 13. Because there's nothing else left nothing else left to do at 13, so. There was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you are heading to class. It was a bummer. Summer had been so much fun. When you thought about going back to school, it was with a sense of loss. Soon you wouldn't be able to choose how your days were spent without the school bell telling you where to be and when. It was with a heavy heart that you chose your outfit for your final day of freedom. Life was going to be different. You'd come to think of the summer vacation as the norm. But school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite in the middle. On a side note, there is a very strong case to be made that summer vacation shouldn't be as long, that instead it should be, all that time should be split up more. Do I like PewDiePie? No, I do not. So, rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal? What did your normal life really mean? You considered how fondly your moms talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You'd gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. This season had brought about plenty of changes of its own, like Kyra's visit, though that, too, was coming to an end today. Yeah, Compbrook. The reason is kids forget a lot over the course of 2 months. 2 to 3 months. Like, because summer break is like 2.5 months long, 2 months long, 2 or 3 months long, kids forget a lot over that time period. Whereas if you split it up more, if you have shorter breaks, they don't have as much time to forget everything. I feel I deserve a treat, especially as I'm sat here with the Jaffa cake hamper on the table. But it's 1:30 a.m. Is sweet stuff really a good idea before bed? I don't see why not, Forna. Yeah, Zach, I think that's, there are some countries that do that, and I think they end up having better results. You had become extremely fond of her. I think it's about 2 months. July and August, I believe. When does summer break? When does it start? Bear in mind, I've been out of school for 18 years. Like, I've been out of school for 18 years now. So I know that in Canada, it ends early September. I think it's like the first Tuesday of September school starts up again. Summer break for us starts at the end of May. Okay, so you get 3 months then. June, July, and August. I feel like in Canada, was it end of May or was it early June? Or late June? Starts in early June and ends in September. Yeah, I know in Canada. I know, or at least in Ontario. Okay, so, yeah, in Canada, it looks like it varies. Yeah, so Ontario, summer break in Ontario is end of June until start of September. But 190 odd days. States is close to late May, mostly depending on school districts. Yeah. Yeah, Canada, I think it varies a little bit as well. Ontario is late June. Anyway, you had become extremely fond of Kyra. The neighborhood was about to feel a lot emptier. Now on a list for looking this up. Considering I have no kids, yeah, you might not be wrong, Llama. It is a bit It might be a bit concerning that I'm looking up, school year when I have no kids. Old Navy's 4th of July sale? No. Do I think school is a scam? No. No, I think there are definitely ways to improve schooling. I think there's some serious problems with the education system. I'm going to say the North American schooling system because I feel like Canada and the US have very similar education systems. Canada hasn't quite gotten into like I think Canada hasn't quite got into charter schools, private schools, quite the way that the US has, though I think there are efforts. But on the whole, I feel like Canada and the US have largely similar problems with their education systems. A lot of it based on standardized testing. I don't think so, Alien Tourist. A little bit better, but when you look up, give me a second. As I recall, Canada is not much higher than US in terms of education results. There we go. Expensive, yeah. Germany apparently is number one. At least as of 2018. As of 2018, Germany was ranked number one in the country. Or in the world. Oh, shit. As of 2018, the education index, US was 12, Canada was 13. On the other hand, so it looks to depend very much on who's doing the rankings, and no one got laid yet, Bali. So it looks to vary greatly by who's doing the rankings, what's being ranked, a whole bunch of things. It really does seem to vary by a lot. There are some rankings that have US higher than Canada. There are some rankings that have Canada higher than the US. I remember as a kid, though. I very much remember as a kid. Canada was always, 2 spots ahead of the US. And we just sort of at least we're better than the US. Frat? No, I never joined a frat. Shit, I'm not sure my school even had fraternities. Like, I honestly have no idea if fraternities were even a thing at Algonquin College when I was there. Anyway, you finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You'd agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that he'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Where's the UK in this? No idea, Habibi. Also seems to vary, I think. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change, thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people. But once he was able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. You turned to your desk, where the box containing your accessories resided. A thought struck you like a bolt, and your eyes bored into the box. Should you wear an anklet for Cove's visit today? You had some nice ones that you hadn't used in a while. You put one ankle bracelet on. Your heart pounded as you slipped the hoop through the clasp and fastened it in place. Would Cove spot it? Your face grew hot as you imagined how he might react. I remember this game from like 9 months ago. It's a long game, Wave Ultra. The next thought that crossed your mind was... You couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. Oh, good night, Killface. You bounded down the stairs, your hand gliding over the rail. You want to make sure you got there first. If you didn't hurry, your moms might answer it. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you'd chosen to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it open. Cove was there, just as expected. Seeing you, he flashed you a bright grin.
Hey.
Hi, Jamie. Hi, Cove. Come on in. Blank screen. Anyone else getting just a blank screen? Took a shower today? So did I, J-Dot. I took a shower as well. Cool math games. I didn't feel like taking a shower yesterday, which was why I didn't do it live yesterday. But I did shower today. When I was young, people assumed if you wore an ankle bracelet, you were easy. Okay, Atman. Good to see. Good to know, Atman. Glad that it's working for you now. Once he'd stepped inside, you beckoned for him to follow you upstairs. And hello, Atman. Back up in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in, as you knew he would. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. Cheese nachos? Toe rings and belly button piercings? You watched as Cove sat down on your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so that he was facing you fully. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, his hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. Tongue rings? Tongue rings are for people who enjoy giving oral sex. I had a toe ring from a lass. When is your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting out through the window, and chuckled. I can't believe she's already leaving. Just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. I did not write this, Jamie Carpenter. He leaned back in the chair, a wry smile tickling his cheeks. She'll be back. He cocked his head thoughtfully before shrugging. Hey, Fam Jam. He ran a hand through his hair before shaking his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog whipping off water following a dip in the sea. Cove looked back to you, lips parted as if he was about to speak. But instead, his eyes widened and his mouth closed into a tiny frown. Something had caught his attention. Something wrapped around where the end of your leg met your foot. He cast his eyes back up to your face, then down to your ankle, and back to your face. He repeated the process once, twice more, as if struggling to hold the two items in tandem. Yeah. I broke the poor boy's, brain. Maybe he was weighing up whether this could be a coincidence or not. Or maybe he was just too shy to verbalize his thoughts. Or was still trying to find the words, and this was the most he could manage. The attention made you feel pleased. The whole plan was for him to see you in it, and you'd succeeded. While his attention was still divided between your ankle and your face, it was totally on you. On his next glance to your face, Cove saw your expression had shifted. He watched as his bewilderment eroded into mortification, as he realized that he had been caught staring. Where's Jenna? She was here earlier. Not sure where Jenna went off to. He quickly spun in the chair to face the wall instead, allowing you to glimpse the flush that had spread all the way to his ears. He twisted in his seat, wringing his hands and determinedly avoiding looking in your direction again. It seemed that he decided against saying anything at all. Does it look good? Hell yeah, I'm gonna keep teasing the bastard. Cove mumbled something unintelligible as he slumped lower. But though he was hunched over, the quiet words had no chance of reaching you. You weren't going to get anything out of him in this state. You waited for him to come around before speaking again. Finally, he piped up very softly.
That's,
Did you do it because of what I said before? I mean, you know... The last few words were whispered as though they were a precious secret. The ankle bracelet. AT&T is calling me and says I owe them money and I need to send them gift cards. What's a girl to do? I don't know. Buy $5,000 Walmart gift cards and give me the code. Where's Dandy? Dandy was also here earlier, J-Dot. Maybe. His eyes squeezed shut. You had no idea if the answer made him feel better or more nervous. He eventually looked down at his lap, where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves. His chest rose as he breathed deep. Well, it looks good on you. Your heart skittered in your chest like a stone skipping across water. One big leap from the unexpected compliment, followed by a series of shorter ones as he absorbed the words. You beamed at him. He was looking at you again, at last, and returned the smile shyly. This really couldn't have worked out better, you thought. And there was nothing else he could add after that. Cove's posture teetered, his eyelids blinking quickly. Jamie, I actually kind of wanted to talk about... He drew a deep breath before concluding the sentence.
I mean...
What happened on the trip? His voice shook as he pushed the words out. Your eyes grew. At the reaction, Cove pulled his arms around his chest, his shoulders hunching inwards. You knew what he was implying. Back when you'd been in the loft and nearly kissed. Cove hadn't breathed a word about it since it happened. Or, well, almost happened.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for moving away like that when you tried to... He dropped the sentence. You didn't push for him to finish. It had conveyed what it needed. And I'm sorry for how I've been since. You know, acting like it didn't even happen. I've thought about it. I mean, I haven't forgotten about it. I don't keep thinking about it all the time. He hung his red-cheeked head, forehead propped up by a couple of fingers. You could tell that he was already regretting how this was going.
Sorry.
Sorry for being weird. It's just, I kind of thought, or hoped, that sometime I'd be able to do this. With me talking about everything. Turn my hair green. Everything? There's more? He nodded ever so slightly. Your face felt a lot hotter after that. Cove brightened a little at your positive reaction, and his explanation continued. I, well, could sort of picture how it might go. What it'd be like with you and me. But just the first part. I couldn't ever imagine anything that'd come after. And now it's actually happened. We're there. It's... He took another deep breath, stuttering on the exhale.
That's,
This makes things different. Hey, just scrolling. Should we find a crystal ball for answers? I don't think we'd see anything. Nothing? That's kind of sad for us. That isn't what I meant. It's just, they can't really show the future. They're just glass. You were happy to see him being livelier. His wide eyes met yours as he looked at you, less burdened from the anxiety that had built inside him. Do you want to try again? No! The word shot out reflexively. He couldn't help it, but immediately cringed at himself. Do you really mean that? No. I mean, I do. Want to. I want to try again, if you still want to. Why am I blushing right now? How's my day been? Meh. You kissed him. Of course I gotta kiss him. You untangled yourself from your resting position and stood up. Realizing your intent to actually go for it, Cove straightened up in the chair, his hands coiled together in his lap. As he moved towards him, you noticed his knees knocking together as he trembled. His decision not to rise from the chair made perfect sense. If he was that shaky while sitting down, there was no way he'd manage to stand without at least one of you falling over. How's Katsu? They're okay. Casey's currently sleeping on my bed, so... Not sure where Sam's off to. Your legs brushed against his quivering ones as you came to a stop in front of him. Cove was staring up at you. As you leaned in towards him, he echoed the motion and drew in towards you. Once you were close enough to feel Cove's breath in your face, you closed your eyes. The last thing you saw was Cove quickly doing the same. Your lips met with Cove's for a moment. His lips were pressed tightly together, unyielding, but it was all right. You were kissing him, and he was kissing you. Aww. I take his load. Jeez, this is their first kiss. Your stomach somersaulted. You couldn't believe it was really happening. In that moment, it felt warm, and it felt nice, and it felt right. You drew back, and Cove slipped down into the chair, the knuckles of his hands pale after gripping so tightly. Thinking that he could do with some space to breathe, figuratively and literally, you took a step back. Cove shot up, his stance rigid. Cove plastered a hand over his mouth, his eyes shut tight. His back then became bowed, shrinking him down. You could only just make out the few words he had managed to summon.
Oh my god, oh my god!
can't believe we actually... His eyes flew open wide, but he didn't look your way, let alone meet your gaze.
Oh my god.
We kissed. We kissed. Aww. You thought his fluster was funny. He wouldn't appreciate your laughter now of all times, if he heard it. You pressed a fist to your mouth and tried to stifle it. Cove only slammed his eyes closed once again. My first kiss was a nightmare. He was a foot taller than me, and I didn't know what to do with my tongue. Yeah, my first kiss I kind of fucked up too. The guy reacted like this after kissing me. I'd wonder if my breath stank. Cove's just awkward and weird. Did you like it? He was still holding the hand to his face, but in an attempt to answer, he emitted a muffled whimper. With that obviously not working, he uncovered his face at last, bringing the hand to lay against his chest, and looked at you. Yeah. He opened his mouth, poised to speak, and pursed his lips as words failed him. On his third or fourth attempt, you heard what he had to say. I did like it. I'm glad that we, you know. He swallowed, seemingly not able to speak the actual word. That we kissed? Cove ducked his head but nodded. You got the impression that he was grateful that you'd finished the thought, but your direct words had pierced his Achilles heel. You grinned, thrilled that the experience had been a welcome one. The smile on Cove's face was real but weary, not unlike the one he wore after a long study session. Like when he'd mastered something that had previously evaded him. The work had been hard, but the reward had been worth it. Figure his reward was probably pretty hard too. With some newfound confidence, he drew himself up as he inhaled deeply. Each word he spoke next was delicate.
Jamie.
I like you. A lot. Probably way too much. He ducked his head bashfully and opened an eye, peeking at you through the hair that had fallen over his face like a veil. He'd managed to smile.
Thanks for waiting for me.
His eyes sparkled just looking at you, his affection transparently clear. He never could hide what he was feeling, and you couldn't be more grateful for that today. Was that a dirty joke? I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, just scrolling. I like you too. Cove squeaked out a nervous giggle. He curled his hand into a loose fist and brushed the knuckles idly against his cheek. Words evaded him as he opened his mouth and closed it again. I don't... He gave up on finishing the sentence, instead just smiling again. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his hands. It was an action usually reserved for much later in the day, but at this point it already felt like a long day. Cove then pressed a hand to his creased forehead.
Oh my god.
Does this mean I'm your boyfriend or something now? Should we tell our parents? I don't know what Dad or Mom would do. There were a lot of concerns in there. You honed in on the simplest. There was no way your moms would let you have a boyfriend, even though that word juxtaposed with Cove's name made your heart race. My parents won't let me have a boyfriend. Or even a something. It doesn't matter, though. We like each other, and that's what's important. Nothing else anybody thought about your relationship changed what it was between the two of you. Cove lifted his hand from his chest and reached towards you, halting halfway, then slowly, cautiously, hooked his fingers around yours. His palm pressed against the back of your hand. You held his hand back. You rotated your hand so that you were palm to palm with Cove, your thumbs crossing one another. Hey, I got an achievement. Budding relationship. Yay, I just got an achievement unlocked. We can get it to work. We always figure things out, sooner or later. Likes his bottom feet to be dirty. You're right. No matter what, it's okay in the end when it's the two of us. Your forthright statement made Cove gasp, but the smile that followed, and his tighter grip on your hand, told you that he had appreciated it. Jamie! Cove! The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You'd nearly forgotten the world outside your room. From the guilty look in his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Mom's Cove is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mom and Ms. Priest had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. I doubt that, Boozin. I doubt he listens to Linkin Park. I seriously doubt he has a Punisher skull. For anything. He's a good boy. Cove is a good boy. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tensed leaving the house, and Cove froze altogether before you both could cross the street.
Oh.
The door's open. Dad must be taking her stuff out. What movie, J-Dot? Yeah, sure thing, Reality. He swallowed hard. She's really gonna leave. Unicorn dildo? Maybe, Zach. Well, I don't know, Zach. He's all about the hammer. Okay. Cause like Cove's all about the sea. So I don't know that he'd have a unicorn dildo. Maybe, like, a manatee dildo. Yeah, I could see, like, a manatee dildo or something like that. But unicorn, I don't know that he'd be into unicorns. Unicorns, yeah. Maybe if he was told it was a Kelpie dildo? You know, Kelpie dildo? Possibly. Cove is 13. I mean, only until I finish this section. He's about to turn 18, Boozin. Seahorse dildo? Crash Bandicoot? No. Free Willy dildo? You rested your hand on his arm. You felt a small shiver ripple through his body as the warmth from your hand sank in. Cove looked at you like he was hoping you had a solution for how he was feeling, and all you could do was give his arm a squeeze for support. At that, some of the conflict warring in his face eased a bit. Together you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room surrounded by his mom's packed things. Hey, kids! Good timing. I just called the taxi.
Hi.
And hi, Jamie. So glad I get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put a face to the name I've heard so many times. She winked, and Cove pouted on cue over the teasing. Bye, that would be cold. Gina, it is a visual novel, so it's not so much an adventure. You do choose sort of how you react to certain things. So it helps shape relationships, the relationships you have with various characters, and helps shape your character's personality and things like that, but not really an adventure. I'm really happy I got to meet you too. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kyra turned her attention back to her boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, and then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Minecraft? No. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly.
I'm so glad.
But I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. Well, not a 100% success, but still a passing grade, I think. Thinking back on everything that happened this summer, he started to look sheepish. Cliff scratched the side of his head, and an awkward chuckle escaped Cove. There were ways it could have gone smoother. I'm still keeping that in mind for the future.
All right.
Good for you, Cliff. And I'll be trying harder to stay more in the loop. So Mass Effect? Yeah, I'm just about done posting my Mass Effect videos. I got 16 more Mass Effect videos to post. Oh, good night, Forna. Become a duvet sausage. Cove's dad can get... He can. Like, Cove's dad is a good-looking dude. This is a good-looking family. Like, this is seriously a damned attractive family. Abe's Odyssey. Splatoon. You watched as Cove smiled softly at both his parents, and you felt relieved seeing how much the whole family had come together since he first met them. Despite any underlying troubles, love was still there. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived, rolling up in front of the house and in clear view of the open door. Kyra stood up, smiling sadly.
Well,
That's my ride. Yeah. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kyra as you all filed out of the house. Father and son went with Kyra's bags in hand. Once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. He stood uncomfortably, and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
what's up?
Hey, Jamie. Hi, Cove. When did you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. Thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time. Sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't even thinking that your mom would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. Would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. I think so too. It was apparent Derek would have preferred to have gotten there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Not tonight, Katie. Not tonight. Cupcake for dessert? Ooh. I like cupcakes. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help?
Nah.
Nah, don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kyra took one last look at everyone inside. Alright, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling. But Kyra still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. Just burned a hole in my food, huh? How'd you do that, Gina? I'll call when I get to the airport, and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home. Otherwise, we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there.
Can do.
I can do that. And could you call tomorrow too? So I can tell you how school went. Of course! I want to hear all about it. Kyra put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move on to squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead. Mom?
Cove.
I love you so much, baby. She was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while waving and took her seat in the taxi. What rapper just scrolling? Piece of the cherry of my bowl fell on them and I didn't. Oh. Can I blow bubbles on stream? I would need to get something that I can use for blowing bubbles. And I don't know how well they'd even show up on camera. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. A Cupcake the Rapper? Who is Bubbles? God damn it. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm around his back.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye. Travel safe. Kyra rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to call out with your family and hers. As you added your voice to the others, you watched Kyra's smile grow larger. Chance the Rapper? Personally, I'm not big into rap. How's the housing situation? I'm still housed. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out onto the empty street, still looking in the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. You got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier. He was finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This is a great vacation, huh? Summer isn't over until the second I fall asleep. No naps for you, then. Can't risk you accidentally ending summer a few hours too early for the rest of us. Just scrolling. I feel like if they had actually done full voice acting for the game, I think it would have been better than what I'm doing. But, chuckling, you shook your head, amused. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly, and everyone else there smiled at him. Even Elizabeth.
Well?
Ma clapped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. No, Cam. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? Your moms exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head.
How sweet.
That's very sweet, Derek, but it's all right. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mom laughed a little over her own joke. You watched Derek look away, discouraged.
It's okay.
It's okay. I don't mind. The way I sniff my screen when Ma shows up. It's like Moira from Fallout 3. He was a little bashful about it. He wondered if Mom's joke had just reminded him that he wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Mom grinned sympathetically. Her comment was meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Ma tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? You all can come back in about an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Mom nodded in agreement.
Sounds good.
Another stunning idea, Lonnie. Thanks.
Thank you.
That sounds like a plan then. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I can be out of your hair this afternoon. You should come by later too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mom seemed amused as Cliff rubbed his back neck nervously. He grinned a wavering but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. Still sniffing. Ma got them knockers. He looked over the assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too. With as many people as you're feeding, that's going to be a lot of food. Didn't you hear what we told Derek? It wouldn't be fair to make you cook when we're the ones who are inviting you in. Ma raised an eyebrow when Cliff waved it off.
Come on.
I insist. Derek would be missing time with his pals. This would be a break for me. I'm quite the chef. Ma and Mom exchanged further glances before Mom shrugged.
True.
An airtight argument. If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Chef Cliff. Cliff's grin widened and seemed more hyped than he'd expect him to be about helping with lunch. Cove shook his head, a fond smile on his face. Hey, Frida. Then all us grown-up people will be heading inside. I assume the rest of you kiddos are staying out? Maybe not all of them. Ma tilted her head, a silent question for Elizabeth. Your sister thought for a moment.
All right.
I'll stay with the kids.
That's fantastic.
Both your moms smiled at her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. But with the plan decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. What I have for dinner? Burgers, Pamplemousse. I just fried up a couple burgers. Elizabeth looked at you and the others, a curious expression on her face.
So?
What now? You silently wondered if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. Then again, she could just genuinely want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's question. Want to go down to the shopping street? It's been a while, and I don't think there's a lot of other things we could agree on. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome to me. Unlike you guys, I haven't been there 1,001 times. It's new to me. Okay. You strolled across the road as a group, down to the beach and then to the left. It took less than 15 minutes to arrive, one of the conveniences of Sunset Bird. The four of you looked around at the familiar shops, trying to see if anything caught your attention this time. Derek was the most enthusiastic. He checked out every stall with his eyes wide with wonder. Elizabeth and Cove were in good spirits as well. Ma got me feeling submissive and readable. That's so cool! He ran over to a street magician who was currently doing a card trick for a group of enchanted tourists. Derek clapped when the magician showed a middle-aged man his card. Derek turned back to the group with a curious gleam on his face. What does it take to perform here anyway? Do you have to ask somebody, or do you just show up and start doing stuff? Who would you even ask? It's a public street. No, just scroll and there is not. Soon, Zach, soon. Hey, Ms. Mayor, can I pull a rabbit out of my hat? Please, Flopsy is well behaved, I promise. Derek chuckled, his eyes searching up and down the scene.
Maybe?
Maybe there's a boss of the shopping street? No one does any of this around my neighborhood. It's just regular stores behind walls. Traveling circuser. It's different if someone wants a real store. But here, I'm pretty sure people are just putting on their little shows whenever they want to and do whatever. That's so neat. Would we be allowed to do something too? Cove laughed and Derek began almost vibrating with excitement. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. What would we do? Derek is 8 years old. He is actually also 13. He only looks 8, but he is 13. Well, I don't know what. Not yet. I mean, I just found out it's a possibility, you know?
But
There's gotta be something. We know cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that'd really get a crowd pumped. You gave a look to the other two. Derek continued to brainstorm out loud about different potential performances, while you glanced over at Cove and Elizabeth. I mean, I can bounce a soccer ball in my head. The last time I tried, I got 8 bounces before it fell. I wouldn't bring a ball here.
why?
Why not? Cove gestured to everything around. The stalls, the people, all the colorful chaos that made up the shopping street. Would you want to chase a lost ball here? And what if it hit somebody? Even if you're good, someone else could bump into you. That's true. Send the kid to Panhandle nearby, he'd make bank. I do not have Instagram, not me. I do not think that Instagram is for me. At least for now. I am thinking, if I ever manage to get my ass together and get on hormones, doing like a daily photo of my transition journey would be kind of interesting. So I could use Instagram for something like that. Derek thought about it some more. Then he watched another performer, a woman doing tricks with 2 small dogs. One was fluffy and cream-colored, while the other was a cool gray. The woman held up rings. Both animals jumped through the openings, happy to receive a treat at the end. Derek brightened. Maybe I'll teach crabs how to race. Day is kind of busy today. Crabs? It could work. With some amusement, the gang continued to peruse the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings with a dangling, badly misprinted globe that everyone laughed at. Cove picked out a blob as Iceland, but Derek thought it had to be Greenland. You know this is a world with what looks like 9 continents? I think you're both wrong. No, it's Australia. The other 3 giggled at your introduction. Suddenly, Cove froze. You stared at him and then tried to see what caught his attention. When you saw a familiar face down the way, it all made sense. Between the crowds, his bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy. Jeremy slowly drifted his eyes down the street, and his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Man, I am not at all far in my transition. I am as far as knowing I want to transition. That is basically as far as I've gotten, man. I want to transition. Derek frowned and Cove tensed up. You couldn't help but remember the last time you'd seen Jeremy at Miranda's birthday party. No wonder Cove was already defensive. You decided to smile at Jeremy. Why not be friendly? He just looked dismissive. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Her gaze swept over Jeremy without a hint of a clue. Jeremy simply scoffed to himself and waded deeper into the crowd of people. Derek relaxed and exhaled loudly. I'm glad he's not going to start anything. Boozin? I don't play Pokemon. Is it expensive transition? I'm not even sure, Anunnaki. I have no idea. No idea what sort of costs will be. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See, that was the mean kid.
What?
Huh? She still didn't get it. That first summer day hadn't made nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek, but he smiled and waved it off. Just forget about him. I already have. He laughed, and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. Who's this Jeremy guy? A douche. He came to town, was totally miserable, and made it everyone else's problem. We ran into him a couple times, and he was just an absolute dick both times. I haven't seen it. She actually messaged me about it. I'm not talking about it tonight. Your eyes wandered over to where Jeremy had disappeared. You hadn't forgotten the day you met him either. He was only going to be in town for a vacation with the parents he hated. That glimpse was probably the last time you would ever see him. Not me. Few years. Been like 5 or 6 years. Gina, I'm honestly not totally sure. I'm honestly, that's sort of why I need to talk to somebody about it. You broke from the group and went after Jeremy. I'll be back. Jamie? I won't be long. You headed off after Jeremy, cutting into the crowd he disappeared into. It didn't take long until you spied his distinct figure. You caught up with him, ducking in between a tourist couple and sidestepping into the side of the street he'd wandered into. Ten-minute commercial. It shouldn't be too much longer, Habibi. You took a breath. Jeremy? Jeremy's slouched posture stiffened, and his neck turned to look over his shoulder. His scowl deepened when he saw it was you. What now? He glowered at you tersely, and a silence stretched between you. He wasn't going to say anything more. You're not going to be here much longer, are you? Oh, that's right. I'm amazed a pea-brain like you could figure that out without me having to spell it out. So what? I'm leaving in a few days. School starts next week. It's not like I can live here and what? Teleport to classes? Pfft. You're not wrong. Who actually play this game? Some people, Pat. Some people have played it. Yeah, what a... Reba McEntire? I don't. Kenny Omega come out to the... Oh, that's pretty awesome, Anunnaki. Coming out to the Final Fantasy theme. Who's that female wrestler who comes out in various geek culture inspired costumes? Like Sailor Moon, I think she did like a Captain Marvel inspired costume once. Who is it? What's her name? Sasha Banks? Is it Sasha Banks who comes out to like sort of geek inspired costumes? Because I think that's cool. June Ali. Like, I like when, it is Sasha Banks. Chun-Li. So yeah, I like when celebrities are able to like inject a little bit of their geekiness into their jobs, you know? I wish we could have really gotten to know each other. Jeremy's face scrunched up. Saying that is pointless! Ugh, annoying! He stomped off into the crowd, vanishing into the sea of other tourists. When you couldn't see him anymore, you shook your head. Well, that was it then. You turned around and saw Cove, Derek, and your sister shuffling through the crowd. Derek saw you and ran forward, the other two following close. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. I just had my last conversation with Jeremy. He's for sure leaving.
So what?
Okay. Who cares about the kid? Cove shrugged in a she has a point kind of way. You nodded. There wasn't anything else to do about it now. Jeremy was unlike anyone you had ever met before. You thought he was kind of pitiful. You and the group moved on from the stall and from Jeremy. Jeannie? The best way to treat an enemy. Like, the best thing you can do with an enemy is to be nice. Confuses and angers them like nothing else. I've been rewatching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and one of the Ferengi rules of acquisition is once in a while, declare peace. It confuses the hell out of your enemies. Don't trust people with bowl cuts. Watch out. You're not wrong, Boozin. Bowl cuts are, kill them with kindness. Exactly. Exactly, because they don't know how to react to it. DS9's so good. Yeah. Angry people have no way of knowing how to react, like, no idea of how to react to kindness. So it just makes them angrier. Next Gen era of Star Trek. I mean, that's what I grew up with, was the Next Gen era. Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. I grew up with those ones. That said, I do also really enjoy the current era of Star Trek. I do want to stress that I do really, really like the current era of Star Trek, and I think there's some really strong shows. Anyway, it didn't take long for everyone to return to the joking. You all enjoyed what little time you had left, as Elizabeth mentioned the hour was almost up. The little trip had flown by, and lunch must have been waiting for you now. Derek bounced on the balls of his feet.
Okay.
Come on, guys, let's get going so we can eat. I'm starving. Homebound, here we go. Janeway was your first captain. Cove stretched one of his arms lazily. Let's go then. You looked at him appraisingly. Do I like Voyager? Yeah. Voyager had its problems, but it had some really good, aspects to it, and then it had some really shitty episodes. But there were a lot of really good episodes, you know? It had a really rough start, and then sort of found its feet. It very much it had the same problems as Next Generation. It took a bit of time for it to figure out what it was doing. Once it found its feet, it got really good. Team Freddy or Jason? I don't care about either. You asked Cove to carry you back to the house. Hey, Cove? Yeah? Could you carry me back home?
What?
Cove turned red, obviously flustered. You told him it was a special occasion. I think that special transportation makes sense on such a big day. Cove sighed and shook his head, Elizabeth and Derek became a chorus of laughter. Come on, Cove, it'll be fun. Mention? I have somewhat mixed feelings on current 7 of 9. They maybe let her get a little bit too much. Nah, it was like 20 years. 20 years, she got back her humanity. That's fine. And at the very least, we're going to get to see her in a Starfleet uniform at long last. Took 20 damn years, but we're finally going to get to see 7 of 9 in a Star Trek uniform. Or a Starfleet uniform. Still bugs me that that the last season they didn't let her wear the Starfleet uniform. They should have put her in the Starfleet uniform, damn it! Anyway, come on, Cove, it'll be fun. Alright. Cove stepped over to you. He looked like he couldn't believe what he was doing. Your lips quirked into a large smile. Oh yeah, thanks. Chakotay? That was such a shitty, rushed, out of goddamn nowhere relationship, man. Mencha. Like, they should have shipped with Janeway. I know that was a popular ship, but there was a sense of Janeway as almost a mother figure to Seven. So, like, it wouldn't have been an appropriate relationship. It wouldn't have been appropriate. Janeway was like a mother figure to Seven. So I think that not going that route was probably the right choice. Nah, Manches, it's... Like I said, that is not the relationship that they had. I understand why a lot of people like that ship, the Janeway 7 ship. It would not have actually been appropriate. Tokimeki Memorial, I have not. As for 7 and Chakotay, that was just shitty. That was just out of nowhere. It made no goddamn sense. They didn't even try to make that one make sense. That one felt so much like, may as well do it. Central romance novel. Not tonight, Gunty. A lot of chemistry. Nah. Like I said, if 7 was going to be shipped with anyone on Voyager, hey, I like Turtle. None of them really would have worked. Was it forced? Yeah. Like, none of them really would have worked. Chakotay, there was nothing there. They barely had any, like, they barely ever talked. 7 and, Kim? 7 and Harry, he kind of wanted her too much. Like, he had sort of too big a crush on her, and, like, it was just... He's a trans bombshell. I mean... Discovery's had a couple of trans characters. And there's also a trans character as a villain on Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds gave gave trans folk a fantastic villain character. Star Trek fantasy romance novel. Anyway, he carefully crouched down in front of you so that you could climb on. What are they about? The two on Discovery are a bit young to be bombshells. The one in Strange New Worlds, absolutely a bombshell. The trans lady they got for that episode of Strange New Worlds, total bombshell. Total hottie. It wasn't hard to hop on. He slipped his arms under your legs and did his best to lift you. It was wobbly, but he managed to stand all the way up. Elizabeth watched with a smirk on her face, while Derek laughed even harder. It was fair to say your antics were entertaining. You were glad Cove went with it. 90s Japanese dating sims? Nah. Mostly the modern indie stuff that I get from Kickstarter. Yeah, the stuff I've played is mostly stuff I've gotten through Kickstarter. Cove carried you home, but he seemed pretty bashful about the situation. He struggled with how much to grip around you, and whether or not he should try to reposition things. Like I said, Mancha, I think modern Star Trek is genuinely phenomenal stuff. Discovery is an excellent contemporary Star Trek series, like an excellent, modern day TV Star Trek series. Strange New Worlds is excellent throwback. Lower Decks is a great sort of adult animation. Prodigy is a great new all ages Star Trek. And Picard exists. Picard exists. Yeah, I'll talk about it more tomorrow, Moonbat. But, along with all that, he also seemed to feel some pride to be carrying you. It was a pleasant walk home, and in no time you had made it back. Derek got the front door and held it open for everyone as you each moseyed inside. The three parents were still in the kitchen. They looked up and waved. Welcome back, everyone. You made it just in time.
Hey.
I hope you're hungry. Hey, Hamburger Eyes. The Orville? I haven't actually watched the Orville. I didn't have much interest in the Orville. So. When COVID brought you inside, the parents couldn't help but notice the odd conveyance. Your moms were unsure, and Mr. Holden raised an eyebrow.
Everything okay?
Did you pull something, Jamie? I'm okay. Aw, Cove, you've gotten so strong.
Good kid.
And reliable, too. What a guy. Hey, Hamburger. Hamburger Eyes. My initial stance? I disagree with her. That is, I disagree with her position. I will give more nuance tomorrow. Nuance to come tomorrow. Of 18 yet? Not quite. Cove rolled his eyes at the commentary, then started walking to your couch. He bent down and you let yourself plop back onto the couch. Thanks for the lift. Thanks, Abidi. Cove exhaled loudly and shook out his arms. He just seemed relieved that he made it. So, did everyone have a nice time out? She gestured for people to take a seat at the table. Plates and silverware have already been placed out. No plans to move, Boozin. You took your normal seat. Elizabeth sat across from you, and Derek took the seat to your left. Cove sat on your right. But he blushed a little and began fidgeting with his silverware. His dad was the first to pick up on his extra awkwardness, but your moms weren't far behind. The parents shared looks at Cove's reaction. It seemed that he was struggling with how to act normal around his dad or your parents, or both, after what happened between the two of you upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a great time. What time? I don't know, whenever I feel like going live, Anunnaki. No, I am not evicting her. It was fine. I had fun. Yeah, the bank heist went off without a hitch. Your joke got some chuckles around the table. Well, that's good in my book. Casually, Mr. Holden sat in the empty seat across from Cove. He smiled at you and all the other kids. Mom set down a platter full of water glasses on the table. She looked down at the gathering. Yeah, maybe mushroom leather, but... shut up until tomorrow, Rebecca. It's a good thing we have 8 chairs. I can't remember the last time we've had a group this big over for a meal. Can you pass the drinks down to the other side? Make sure you all get one. Sure. Those close to the cups obliged and started offering waters around. As you passed Cove his drink, your hands touched. Cove froze. You had already let go, not yet realizing that he was too distracted to function in that moment. The glass fell down to the table, landing with the sharp clatter of glass on wood. Cove scooted his chair back with a restrained shout.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'll just get a towel or something? He looked around in a frantic panic, as if an object to soak up the water would magically appear if he turned his head fast enough. His dad bit his lip in worry, rising from his own seat.
Well...
Cove, what's going on? You've been a little out of it today. Did something happen? Cove tensed, frozen again. He stared at the water on the tabletop as if he wanted to sink into it. Cover, or just straight up admit to it? Screw it. Straight up admit to it. Hell with it. You admitted what had happened between the two of you. They had to find out sometime. Well, Cove and me kissed earlier. You let the truth spill like the water before. Cove gasped and his hands shot up to cover his quickly darkening face. It was silent as everyone processed. Silent. Ha! Both Mom and Ma started to laugh, and that snapped people out of their surprise. Mr. Holden slapped a hand over Cove's shoulder. Congrats! Cove flinched at the touch, but still said nothing. His hands might have well been glued to his head. Elizabeth shook her head, and you can hear her, "Can you believe this?" line in the motion. He really is your special boy. Derek grinned at you, and Cove even if he couldn't see it. He at least was happy for you. Now, I'm sure we all knew this was coming sooner or later.
It happens.
I had hoped you could have waited a couple more years, but what can you do?
Now.
It's a wonderful thing that you both like each other, but Mom is right that you're both young. We'll just have to chaperone you if you ever want to go on dates.
Nice work.
I'd be happy to help with that too, whenever it's needed. Cove creakily fell back in his seat. His hands hadn't moved. While his expression was unreadable, the color of his skin had reached extreme red. He crashed forward, his head smushed to the table surface, somehow curling up even more from his embarrassment. isn't that still wet? No response was given. At least with his hands there, his face should have been somewhat protected from the water. You felt bad for putting him in this situation. I'm sorry. Talk about it tomorrow, Tiny Pocket. The parents laughed more, all three of them with wide beaming grins on their faces.
Huh.
Our families are truly uniting now then. This will be the Holden Last clan's first meal together. Or Last Holden clan? I'm not sure which has a better ring to it. Derek's eyes were wide and he kept shooting furtive looks at the door. Apparently the grown-ups were making this too much for even him. He seemed to be one of the few people concerned for Cove's impression of a withdrawn red-eared slider turtle. You good, bro? Derek whispered encouragingly to his flattened friend. Meanwhile, Elizabeth was still unimpressed. And then, finally, you heard a squeak. It was Cove.
Oh my god.
Please, can we not talk about this anymore? Please? Oh, sure, I think that's enough for now. We still got to eat lunch, after all. Food was placed on the table, and Derek started to fill his plate, with the others following suit. Cove sighed quietly as lunch started up in earnest. Mr. Holden gave his son another pat on the back. Cove slowly straightened back up, and you helped him get a towel and clean the water dripping everywhere at this point. You caught eyes with him and tried to gauge if he was unhappy with you because of this. Thankfully, he gave no impression of that. The affection he showed back in your room was as strong as ever. As everything got set up, Ma chided Elizabeth to take her elbows off the table.
Now.
And you shouldn't slouch. She pointed to Mr. Holden, who was leaning forward with both arms on the table. Oops. Mr. Holden seemed unsure about all the sudden attention and carefully rearranged his posture to something suitable for a fancy dinner. He smiled sheepishly at Ma. Elizabeth rolled her eyes, and Ma gave a level look at her. You shouldn't be impolite to a guest in the house, either. Elizabeth groaned, long and long-suffering. Ma giggled, and Mr. Holden chuckled.
Not bad.
The lot of you could learn a thing or two from Derek. He has the best manners here. Derek blushed, but it was true. His posture was upright and formal. He even held his fork gracefully. His table manners on top of all of his attempts to aid your parents made him the model of meal attendee behavior.
Aw.
It's nothing. It's true, though. You have been a lovely guest. I've noticed that, too. It's always nice when you stay over, Derek. Derek smiled and sat a little taller in his chair. Can't sit much shorter. And do you have anything good to say about our other guest? She looked deliberately at Cove with a teasing smirk. Or is there just nothing to say? Well, Cove is my number one, but he does still clean his hands by wiping them on his pants. Cove frowned at that and absentmindedly brushed his hands on his pant legs. Your moms laughed lightly.
There, there.
Elizabeth, you should know. After all these years, Cove is hardly a guest anymore. Cove smiled awkwardly. Thanks. You complimented Derek on his politeness. It's cool how you know all those manner things. Oh, thank you. He seemed more embarrassed by getting a compliment from a kid his age. Everyone ate their meal together and continued to hang out for the afternoon. After the food, you and the others played a couple games and talked about plans for the upcoming year. Almost had a kiss. Or a sneeze, sorry. Almost had to sneeze. Almost sneezed. Didn't, not quite. The time passed by quickly, and soon it was time to part ways. Mr. Holden talked to your moms, and Cove drifted over to you, knowing that as soon as his dad finished up, he would be leaving. I know best, Boozin. I know best. It'd be cool to stay, but we have some stuff to do before everything closes today.
Okay.
Yeah, bye. Could you move? I need the phone. Cove raised an eyebrow, and Elizabeth impatiently gestured behind him. Cove realized he was standing right in front of where the receiver was placed. Indeed, just scrolling. He sidestepped out of the way and shook his head, clearly thinking Elizabeth was rushing too much. Your sister made a beeline for the phone and started dialing the number of what you figured was one of her friends. Knowing Elizabeth, she was going to be on there for a while. You, Cove, and Derek shuffled close to the door. It seemed like Mr. Holden was wrapping up his conversation, so everyone started saying their various farewells.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Cove. We gotta do this again sometime. Yeah, see you. Cove turned to you and smiled slightly. Bye, Jamie. You hugged Cove goodbye. You stepped forward and spread your arms wide. Cove only had a moment to react before you encircled him in your arms. Cove hugged you back tightly and his chest rumbled as he laughed. His cheeks were slightly red, especially when he looked over and noticed that Derek had watched the whole thing. Derek smiled amusedly.
Dude.
Seriously, dude, we'll have to hang out later. I'm gonna miss you during school. He offered Cove a high five and the two boys clapped their hands together. Cove and his dad left soon after that. Your parents started cleaning up the house, and Elizabeth was still chatting to her friends on the phone. It was just you and Derek left. He elected to stay outside in front of the house to wait for his dad to pick him up. You decided to keep your guest company, although he was originally Cove's visitor. A light summer breeze blew through your hair, and Derek shifted his weight from foot to foot. Thanks for waiting with me. He kicked at the ground distractedly.
Well,
Dad's still gonna be a while, so do you want to go for a walk? Sure, I don't mind. You can sneeze, I believe in you. Plans for tomorrow? Cooking. I will make... Yeah, I'll make meatloaf tomorrow. I will make meatloaf tomorrow. The two of you walked down the street again, just wandering without a destination planned. It was a quiet stroll. Too quiet for Derek being the company. You turned to him when you had noticed that he wasn't saying a word. That was unusual. Derek always had something he could chat about. You weren't sure if you should ask about it. Somehow you ended up at the old park near the beach. You glanced over to Derek once more, still expecting him to say something any second now. What happened tonight? Fried up a couple burgers. Rainbow cookies tomorrow? Nah. How many loaves of meat can one man make? As many as I feel like just scrolling. However, nothing came from him. In fact, now you noticed a frown creeping on his face. Give me a second, I gotta blow my nose. No, Casey. Stay in bed. No need to get up, Casey. Just stay there. That's a bit better. Derek smiled when he realized you were watching. At least, his mouth was turned up. There wasn't anything that really felt happy in the expression. He turned away and the smile fell off his face. His eyes stared intently at the ground and he raised an eyebrow. If you want to talk about something, I'm here. I'm a little sad. It's just, with school starting back up again, it's going to be harder to visit. I'm going to have homework and clubs and practices and everything else.
This sucks.
It really sucks we go to different schools. His face screwed up and his fists were closed tightly together. This was really concerning him. What if we don't have time? You channeled some optimism into the conversation. We'll make time. We can talk over the phone and have plans for weekends. It'll be okay. Derek looked up at the sky. It was orange and purple with little wisps of cloud scattered around. A plane flew high with a jet stream trailing behind it. I hope we'll always be friends, no matter what. Even if we don't see each other for a long time, or if we get really busy, I still hope. He cut himself off and met your eyes. There was something serious to him, sincerely worried you'd fall out of your friendship. I hope so too. I want us to be friends forever. Derek smiled, mostly to himself. He seemed a little more like the usual. Then for sure we have to make the most of next year. Then the year after that, and the year after that. He rambled on for a while about things. We'll just make the most of every year. Right. No drunk streams because I don't like getting drunk. You smiled and felt like your friendship was still strong. You didn't spend much longer at the park after that. Derek didn't want to miss his dad, so you both made your way back to your street. After Derek went back home, you decided to settle in for the night. Stretching your arms over your head, you noticed that the living room and the phone were free. You called Lee. You picked up the receiver and quickly punched in the familiar number while going back to take a seat on the couch. Soon enough, after explaining the situation to the housekeeper, Lee answered.
Hey!
Hi, Lee. Can you talk? Definitely. We practically have to. My gosh, can you believe it's almost time for school to start? What happened to our summer? School starts first thing tomorrow for me.
Boo.
Ew, and I thought starting next week was bad enough. Enjoy your last week. Oh, I will. I hope you'll survive your first day. Me too. I need a good year. Is she? Cousin. Lee is, cousin. Ditto. And at least summer was nice while it lasted, right? We were busy. Yeah. Fondly you thought about all the best memories you made this summer. Lee was there for some, but there were still many you hadn't filled her in on yet. You reminisced about a moment of your summer. You began to speak about... the road trip you took. I went on a vacation. Cove's parents ended up inviting my whole family on an RV road trip.
Really?
Whoa, that's awesome! It was a 3-day trip, and we visited the Redwood National Forest. Lucky. I almost kissed Cove.
What?
You what? When? Start at the beginning. Your face immediately felt like it was burning, knowing there was no closing this can of worms. I can't believe you've been holding out on me with such a juicy story. You have to tell me everything. You could easily imagine the large grin that had to be sitting on Lee's face as you began going into every detail on the setup, what happened, and the way it ended. This was going to be Lee's favorite story for years, you could feel it. I'm so happy for you. Oh, that's so funny and really cute. Thanks, but it's not like anything really happened then. That's not what counts. The feelings were there. It was hard to focus on what she was saying. You were distracted just thinking back on that moment. Hey, Salidsus. Any other moments worth talking about? The soiree at the country club. I went to a soiree at my mom's country club. There was lots of food, dancing, and people dressed up formally.
Cool.
Oh, I've been to one of those. They're cool, but how did it go for you? Cove was my date? No way! You asked him on a date? Like a date? Yeah. Ooh. After laughing a bit, you dove into telling Lee everything about your night with Cove. You enjoyed sharing that memory with her. Any other moments worth... Yeah, the surprise Father's Day adventure, that was a good one. Derek invited me over suddenly, and it turned out the next day was Father's Day. Oh, really? And then what? Me and Derek had to rush back to my house to see if Elizabeth was okay. You did? Uh-huh. She was alone, so we took a bus and a shuttle by ourselves? No way! You went all the way there totally by yourselves? Yeah. We made it and then went home on our own too. Derek knew the bus lines and stuff really well. Jamie, I'm amazed. And yeah, let's talk about her now. What was your big highlight of the summer, Lee? Talking to you is always the best part of my summer. Even though it was a phone call, you just knew that Lee was winking at you. Good, I'm glad you picked the right answer. That had Lee laughing hard for a few moments. Alright, okay. So a high point for me was when I took that trip with my parents to Europe. That was amazing! You and Lee continued to go over your adventures until you both were yawning to each other over the phone. Before you go, there's one other thing. I kissed Cove today. There was a pause of silence. Knowing your cousin, you decided to pull your ear away from the phone. As expected, a screech loud enough for you to still make out clearly from a distance crackled through the speaker. When you felt it was safe, you put the phone back against your head. Lee was still gushing to herself, though a little less loudly. Why didn't you say so sooner? He had to have kissed you back, right? You two are the most perfect pair ever. Tell me, please. You used the precious little time you had left to try filling her in as best you were capable of in that moment. But soon the approach of curfew became too much for you to ignore, despite how excited the both of you were. At that, you decided it was time to say goodbye for now. You did have school to wake up for in the morning. Bye, Lee.
Bye.
Night, Jamie. Talk to you later. You left the phone on the side table for now. Looking at the clock on the wall, you saw that there was only about 10 minutes until your moms would be insisting you had to go to bed, so you could be rested enough for school. You stretched your legs out on the couch and sighed in defeat, watching the minute hand change 1 minute closer to bedtime. You rearranged yourself, feeling restless, and looked out the window. Startled initially, you spotted a figure out on the hills. It was Cove! When the surprise faded, you realized it really wasn't that much of a shock at all. It was exactly something Cove would do. You ran off to go see him. Sprinting, you reached the front door in record time. You didn't think you'd see Cove again that day. You had to go to him. When you arrived, you noticed how many fireflies were out that night. They drifted along lazily, barely minding your presence as you waded through to reach the top of the hill. Cove turned towards you as he approached, and you noticed right away that Cove looked happy to see you. Hey. Throat goat? Sorry, Habibi, I don't know that song. You had a bounce in your step. You weren't sure how long you'd get before your mom's rubbed you back inside for bed. Hey, what are you doing out here?
Nothing.
Not really. He shrugged, seeming unhappy with his own answer. You stared at him, waiting for him to continue. Well, I guess I was feeling kind of weird about stuff, so I'm getting some fresh air before bed. Thanks, Barry. I feel good. With school starting tomorrow, everything is going to get started again. At the mention of school, a small noise escaped him. Cove let himself fall back onto his butt and then all the way down, so he was lying on his back. He looked up at the sky. This feels a little bit early in the relationship, I think, maybe. You laid down yourself. You lowered yourself to lay back on the hill. He had been lost in thought, or was possibly waiting for you to situate yourself, but he started speaking unprompted again. Thanks for telling me about my dad, and the money he offered you to be my friend. This was probably the last thing you were expecting out of him. Cove seemed to pick up on that and stretched his arms out wide in front of him.
I mean...
This is where we met, remember? It happened that day. You could recall the sad little boy with a pink cast who you found in this very spot. Felt like a lifetime ago. I kind of have a strange feeling looking at you. Not in a bad way. Just thinking about you then and really seeing you now. It's... something. He turned his face away from you. You got the impression he was trying to hide a blush. It was almost unbelievable how much of an impact he made on your life just by moving in next door. You couldn't even imagine what your days might have looked like in a world where you hadn't met him. Cove glanced back at you, waiting for a response, and you had no idea what to say. Then, still without a word from you, Cove gave an exaggerated shrug. What? It's you. Huh? He snickered before answering. He looked thoroughly amused with your reaction. That's what you do all the time. So, I'm being you. Not being able to argue with his assessment, you accepted it. Cove smiled, pleased at you. Honestly, there weren't many people you could think of who could tease you about something like that. Returning his smile, you realized there was no denying that you two had been around each other for a long time. Cove broke the quiet before it could fully settle.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, see you then. With a final wave, Cove headed for home. But you stayed there a few minutes longer. You kept going back to his simple statement. See you tomorrow. No matter how much was changing around you, there were some things in your life that always seemed to remain true. The hills felt warm to you that night. Before you knew it, you were getting comfortable under the covers in your room. Your mind couldn't help but still be buzzing with thoughts about the future. It was hard not to think about Cove. There hadn't been enough time to really figure it all out after what happened between you. You felt... excited. There was little doubt in your mind that things were moving forward, and you couldn't wait to find out what changes were waiting for you on the horizon. Slowly, your eyes grew heavy as you drifted off to sleep, your mind spinning with wishful thoughts. No matter what happened next, you could only hope that you would make the most of it. You were ensnared in a dream when a noise from the outside world jostled you. Your eyes snapped open. The light clatter continued. Now that you were more alert, you could distinguish it as a tapping sound. Quiet, slow, but persistent. Each beat was like being poked. You couldn't ignore it. You lifted your head from the pillow and looked for the source. Not much work was needed to puzzle it out. It was from the window. With that, you knew exactly what it was. From the color of the light filtering into your room, it was too early for anyone to be awake, including the sun. It had barely held itself over the horizon. But that didn't stop some people, it seemed. You sat up in bed and opened the window wide. Cool air, not yet warmed by the day, tickled your face as it pushed into your room. And, just as you'd expected, there was your neighbor crouching on your windowsill. He was fully dressed, though not for school. He was wearing a wetsuit and a shy smile.
Jamie.
Hi, Jamie. You stared back, blinking. So, technically, we won't be back to school for a few more hours. His voice was delicate yet deliberate, each word a careful explanation. Classes haven't actually started yet. So, do you want to hit the beach with me one more time this summer? Always. His smile widened affectionately. You rushed to get changed into something suitable, while Cove climbed back down to get to ground level. Your limbs, still half asleep, struggled somewhat as you attempted to coordinate them into a swimsuit, but you got there in the end. He's not stalking Scapegoat. Soon you were tiptoeing out of your front door, clutching a towel. Cove was already there to greet you. Your eyes met. Cove's gaze guarded to your destination and back to you. You checked the door was closed, gave him a thumbs up, and the two of you leapt into action. Wordlessly, you began to run down the familiar path ahead. Cove beside you. The thrill of your illicit outing made you want to laugh. Not that you dared. If anyone in your family looked out and saw you, then your summer would be back to being over. One glance at Cove told you that he was exactly the same, holding back snickers for fear of being heard and caught. The towel streamed out from under your arm like a cape. You were running so fast downhill that simply keeping your balance and not tumbling down was a real threat. It just wasn't enough of one to make you slow your pace. For every step you took, the beach was a little closer, and the day a little brighter. What lay ahead for you would arrive, and you were happy to meet it. All right. So that will do for tonight. 3 hours. 3 friggin' hours to get through all that. Whew. For the record, the messages I'm receiving are not from her. The alerts I was just getting were for someone on Twitter. Hey, Elise. Hey, Rhonda. Yeah, I was just being messaged by someone on Twitter. What? Oh, cat pictures. Someone messaged me cat pictures. Cat. Oops. Get back here, cats. Cat. I mean, aside from my throat being now a little bit sore from 3 hours of reading, cat. Is that the line ahead of time? Probably not, Habibi. I never do. I know I should. But I never do. Any who's it? So yeah, just someone. Hey, Barney. I think one of my viewers who also happens to follow me on Twitter, occasionally messages me on Twitter, sent me some cat pictures. Moisturize your throat with plenty of water. Yep, that's what I'm gonna have to do. All right. So, with sorry, Elise, but I have been going for 3 hours. So, thank you for coming, at least. Tomorrow, Jess. I will discuss that shit tomorrow. Okay, am I getting ready to play? Getting ready to end it, Rhonda. Make it 5? No. No, I've talked quite enough. Throat is, tired. And, yeah. The baby? Oh, it's not finished. There's still 18. There's still the ages of 18 and 23. I got lots and lots to go. I've got like close to 30 hours in this game, and I've probably got. It'll probably take me about that much longer to finish it. So anyway. Thanks for coming. I'll see you all tomorrow. Good night. Sorry,